CTV Calgary, local breaking news.
Good afternoon. Flu cases in Alberta are spiking, but the province says the healthcare system is ready for it. New numbers show there were more flu cases in the province last week than it has seen over the last 15 years. Alberta saw more than 2,300 new flu cases last week. That's more than 500 higher than the last big spike in 2009. The province has added more than 300 additional beds to hospitals across the province, and more than 200 of those beds will be permanently added to the system.
I've been looking after patients in hospitals in Alberta for 30 years, and some seasons are very bad, some are easier. This one is looking a little worse than usual from an influenza point of view, but it's less severe from a COVID and an RSV point of view, as previously pointed out. So we have some flexibility to respond.
Dr. Jameson says there's some evidence that Calgary has already hit the peak of flu season, but it could get worse in northern Alberta. A judge has removed an injunction on a law preventing Alberta youth from accessing gender-affirming care. In June, advocacy groups EGAL and Skipping Stones successfully filed an injunction so doctors could continue providing gender-affirming care, including puberty blockers to youth under 16 years old. The government appealed to have it removed after using the notwithstanding clause to pass the bill last week. On Thursday, a judge ruled in the government's favor. Advocates say they plan to file another injunction based on criminal law because doctors who don't comply could face imprisonment. A woman in her 40s has died after being hit in a crosswalk last night. It happened around 6 at the intersection of 32nd Street and 26th Avenue Northeast. Police say the pedestrian had the green light and stepped into the crosswalk when she was hit by a vehicle turning at the intersection. The woman was taken to hospital where she later died. Police say the driver of the vehicle remained at the scene and the investigation continues. This is Calgary's 15th pedestrian fatality this year. New details about the events leading up to a man being shot by police at the Dalhousie C train station this week. Alberta's police watchdog says just before noon on Tuesday, a man with a knife approached a bylaw officer who was in a vehicle outside the station. Police were called, and when they arrived, they told the man to put down the knife. ACERT says the suspect moved toward officers, prompting one of them to fire his rifle. The man was taken to hospital in serious but stable condition. 23-year-old Cody Duquette faces several charges, including assaulting a peace officer with a weapon. A Calgary massage therapist has been charged with sexual assault. A client at Massage Addict claims they were touched in a sexual manner without consent during an appointment on November 20th. Dioscuro Tulop has been charged with 1 count of sexual assault. The 36-year-old has a court appearance scheduled for February. Calgary's airport is expecting today and tomorrow to be its busiest days during the holiday season. The centralized security area in the domestic terminal is now open. It offers 7 lanes, and that's a 40% increase in capacity. The high-tech screening infrastructure also means you don't need to remove electronics or liquids from your carry-on, although you are still limited to 100 millimeters or less. This is just the first phase of a larger plan.
Phase 2 opens at the end of next year with 2 additional lanes, and we will have space for another 4. So the investment we're making is not only for today, it's for the next 15, 20 years for the growth that Calgary will experience.
The Calgary Airport is expecting to see about 1.5 million travelers this month. Every holiday season has its sweet spots, and in Calgary, one of them is a tiny shop along 8th Avenue where a couple hand-make candy canes the old-fashioned way. At Volio's Confections, candy canes in over a dozen flavors are rolled out by hand, cut to size, and shaped into that classic Christmas hook. But before any of that happens, candy cane construction begins as a mix of science and art and a surprising amount of physical labor as the warm candy is pulled and worked on the hook to get it to be just the right texture and color.
We pull it on the hook to put air into it, essentially. We want the candy to be aerated. It makes it better to work with. It reflects light better, so it makes all of the colors stand out a bit more. It starts to hurt after a while, but yeah, I think we get used to it. It's like the world's best hot work out. You know, people pay for hot yoga. We've got hot candy.
By the time Christmas hits, Volio's expects to make 25,000 candy canes this year. That's up by almost 30% from last year. Thanks for joining us. We'll have more on the top stories coming up on CTV News at 5 and 6 or anytime online at ctvnewscalgary.ca.